All right, class. If you're watching this wherever you may be in the world, I'm assuming America first and foremost. Right now, here, it's after hours. So consider yourself, if you're watching this, like you got stuck after school. You got to wait for the late bus. So to that extent, it's bad. But guess what? You can do whatever the hell you want while I'm talking. Do whatever you want. I'll pretend that you're watching, and you will be. So that'll be good. So what I'm going to do is offer you some free, this is like conversational ascension. We'll call it that. I'm trying to be normal. It's making my head hurt a little bit, but I'm going to try. It's a little bit of just high level coaching that you will find to be enlightening because it's angelically derived and I'm putting it together for you on a paper plate. So here we go. So although time is a dimension, we do have one true creator. It's the master programmer of time and what I'm about to tell you, managed by all the angels in heaven in orders of magnitude. So at our essence, because the creator is in us, if you hear my voice, you are the firstborn. You're an elite body vessel chip that came from the womb of somewhere past Orion for your story. And you've been to multiple planets. But at the center, where our Creator lives, there are these three things: freedom and power, which are blue. Now we're only going to need to use our voice for so long, but we have the authority to do that and say what the truth is. Freedom and power. Just remember that, because as ascended masters use colors and they get correlated to your body, the lights should be coming on. And it's interesting that I didn't notice this until now, but I had drawn this pathway here because we knew these three things during this window of Lemuria, and many of our cohorts remained ascended. So it's a state of mind, body, and spirit, and they are waiting for us. So they have bodies somewhere, and they're able to communicate with us. They're light beings at this point, so they're not visible to us. We are on a different window to go meet them, and I'm sure as a part of divine inheritance, magnificent things are coming for all of us. But to express things in terms of time and run around the dial here really fast, because I know it's after school, you want to go home. Over 4 billion years ago, our planet was initiated by consciousness that wanted a home. Over 4 billion years ago. Her name is Gaia, and she's on her second cycle. So everything is music, and we are known to go through 8 densities of awareness. At the end of 7 densities, no matter which state you're in, you kick up a notch or begin a new cycle. In this case, she went up to 7th density awareness and then began a second cycle, and we on planet Earth in this window are kicking off 4th density awareness. Now, I'll be able to talk about densities here separately, but to whale through time, what I included is significant for purposes of very strategic explanation. As all this stuff has happened, there's a council of planets that basically our creator with these attributes when the universe when everything was formed in space, and all the beings that attained fourth density awareness that have physical bodies participate. So if you made it that far, you get here. You name it, they're here. It's Star Wars. And to not waste time, they picked here in this window for us to learn what we're doing. And it equated to 6 million years ago. So the dinosaurs that were 75 million years ago got their shot. They went into Earth. They're back on the surface. Venus got lit up. Here comes us from Maldek. There's a Maldek-Mars coalition. So Earth was chosen to be the big the Olympics of idiocy occurs on Earth. And you're in, you vote. So congratulations. 800,000 years ago, when Maldek terminated, thanks to Mark Zuckerberg and his like, the roughly in the same, well, that's when that occurred, so therefore the Sumerian tablets clock back to there. That's why that number is important. When you go back in the Sumerian tablets, I haven't even looked, but when they point at their rocks and what they still got intact, it tells time back that far, because it's Maldek. And it allowed for ages to be expressed and all kinds of truth that we brought with us, but it came from the Anunnaki in the tablets. I'm sure we had been taught it in this event right here, thank you. And this is a swag. Take 10,000 years, I think, off or something to be right on time. But I'm saying 500,000 years ago. Is that right? 500,000, yes. No? 800,000, 1 million, yeah, correct. Thank you. So, these numbers are significant. They're considered divine numbers, 69 and 69. We were having been moved consciously to planet Earth and upgraded in our equipment because the configuration, Helen Keller was innocent, and Mark Zuckerberg rigged the electronic dog walker, and we all got walked into a nuke. So somebody probably stepped on it like a claymore, and it blew the planet up. That's essentially what happened. And a bunch of, others that were probably not knowing what at this point in the game, but boom, it all ended. So at that, so the souls that terminated there picked up and got moved to Earth by the ones that are watching everything. So you have players in the game. And what occurred here was enlightenment for the Neanderthals through this many scared of fire cavemen. 138 men and women were ammoed up to be as smarter than we are right now. And then they taught everybody else in this window, and the deal that they knew they had when they went in, they had a floating tree from here that had apples on it, because trees breathe. There's a different life. Trees are eligible for reincarnation here. There they were flying trees, so they had trees like, the talking tree kind of a thing. Just go there because it's true. So the floating tree in Turkey, a center of wisdom, this is like sort of the first Atlantis of knowing what's going on, because they had rings of wisdom to go do all this stuff. And to jump back to our Creator, where we come from, our, the bosom of the womb, freedom and power, knowledge and wisdom, which is gold, and love and compassion is pink. These key attributes and their colors were known by the time we got to Lemuria. So I'm sure they were taught here. So I'm running through time to get us to a point of evolution to where we were pretty good. At this point, look, we hit Lemuria, and we were good. I mean, come on. So we were this far along, haven't missed it. The reptiles that were inner Earth. They basically deconstructed underneath Lemuria, which caused it to drop. The weight of the land, it was like an engineering failure. Whoever demolition down there to do that. Now they have these rocket-powered, 40-foot wide this going through the earth, and there's a subterranean setup that we've learned about that's satanic, that connects it all together. So, to continue on our planet, the Anunnaki, as we know them, who are from Nibiru, there's a cycle that goes on, which occurs in routine time frames, and the timing is such that this may be out of position time-wise, because the deluge occurred 12,500 years ago. So it was the next major event, when there was no negative blood back then. It was a replay technically of Maldek, if you want to, in Lemuria, but there was technology and the children of Belial against the children of the light. So we've always been children of the light. The firstborn are the children of the light. Now you're going to get back home whenever you want. You can listen to this and dismiss it. You're allowed to do that, because you have freedom and power to stay lost forever, as long as that is for you. So I'm trying to help wake you up, even though I misplaced this. It should be before here, because there's the logic. These guys got sped up, okay, in the Persian Gulf, and Abraham, and all the stuff that came forward to write the Bible was as a result of them departing Nibiru and coming to Earth. Go analogically speaking of what those type beings are, and know that David Icke is a positive version of them. Look at his hands, look at the guy, and it's just genetics. So, speaking of genetics, to get to a point, and the Hopi are not addressed here as they should be, but non-interference from angels who know better is the standard for us. And so the product of this man and Abigail ended up being him, plain and simple, via Mary, his mother, and the kinship through Abigail that runs through the appropriate tribes of wisdom. Benjamin is how you get to Mary Magdalene. So Yeshua wore it all. Mary took the lead as the divine feminine side of David. That's where Solomon was. But David went back for Abigail. So the romance and the understanding of, hey, this woman knows what she's doing, is with Abigail. Okay, so Abigail's an important personality that we'll get to know. Which one of the Marys may have been Abigail. Maybe not, but it's a safe presumption. So Christ, Yeshua, was born. Good place to tell you that if you're a Christian, you missed it. Being Christian means Christ-like, but you are Christ. You want to be Yeshua-like, because we all did 9/11. So if you did 9/11, you're a Christ candidate. Whatever your name is, say, hey, I experienced 9/11, so I'm Christ. His occurred at his termination ceremony that was set up by the extraterrestrials that wanted to put him down. But the and that's an overstatement to the extent that they worshipped animals, slaughtering the animals and the priests eat them, and there's banks and everything else. And then he blew up at it, knowing that it was going to cause what it caused, which was his crucifixion. But 9/11 was his date of birth in 3 BC, under a 4-star conjunction, testified to by Sudi, his eventual teacher, who was Essene. He was Essene. I don't know what David was. He wouldn't have been Essene because the Essenes became within Judah. The line of Judah is where it traces to. All the other tribes that are running around, and Goliath and the Canaanites and the Moses and Abraham got back in the picture and carried it all through Solomon, and he had 800 wives, and it was like the genie bottle got tightened up in David, and then he let it back out again. That's how you can look at it. But the angel said, hey, here's the right combo right here in order to have two people to have intercourse, so we can have everything tapestry-wise in the blood to be inserted here. So the blood is preserved, and he's coming back. There's no question about it. Please. You just have to be up so that he can come down. It's essentially what it is right now. So enter George Bush and his feats of accomplishment with his family and all the participants that pick a wife of Solomon and you're in the picture. Do the characters in Hollywood and just say, hey, they were running around then, they're running around now. And regardless of who's who in our zoo, please know that everything went to the east. Muhammad's daughter there in Fatima said, oh, it's going to get, the red people are going to do it. Well, they're about ready to do it in China, and they're good people over there, and they're coming with all their business smarts, and the idiots around here watch TV, and they're lost, and everything's going to be taken away. But it's going to be given back. But it's going to be taken away before it's given back. That's the way it's rolling with denial of services and stuff. So we're going to go through this big hiccup because it's in this wobble right here. 10-10-19 is 10-10-10. 10-10-10, 10-10 to the 10. Beginnings and ends is tens. So what occurred here was the flip to China. This is Henry Kissinger Day right here. Because you had Wuhan Military Olympics, you had Event 201 concluding in New York City, and you had the New Deal from Trump. He's the new FDR, the art of the deal, Donald Trump. He gave away crypto, and he gave away the food. The farmers are going to love me. Donald, they love you. And I'll tell you what entertainment are we talking about? My entertainment at this point, because we have divine revelation going for us and we know everything. So as God, this is what you chose. If you are watching this video right now, whether you brush your teeth or not with fluoride, you have a pineal gland. And here's what you chose before you held your nose for the Creator and said, okay, I'm going back. I'm going back. I might never come back. And I'm telling you what, there are people on YouTube right now, and oh boy, are they just freaking so happy to be out of the dumbs so they can go right back to that second temple thinking they got Noah. You can talk to Noah of Noahide law. It's Noahide's law, and George Bush signed it into effect, so do a little bit of connection back to Abraham and and you're being Anunnakiized. Viewer, should you hear my voice? You're allowed to. Totally permissible now to go, what? You mean I've been drawing cartoons in the... Daggone it. I'm wiping. I need a new paper plate. You won't see me doing that. By golly. Because I got my Shiza zusammen. Because I hung out with Kenya on ice, and he spoke German, and he drank beer. And that man is worthy. There is no one that I would rather go to war with. When the bullets started flying, and there was a place to go where there weren't bullets, that's where Kenya on ice comes in handy. Avoid the conflict. Should that not be a tenet of fighting? If you were of the round table, would you not? And I'm not talking Monty Python now. Those guys are who they are. They're funny. I'm talking about the real knights. And let's say you got a little piece of code that says, avoid conflict at all costs. Now you're a knight, so you're driving around like, hey, I'll smoke you if I have to, but just so we get through the ceremony, I'm here to avoid conflict. Now, the shit hits the fan. It's I'm just gonna try and end here. I got so much to talk about, but I know this is after school. You guys got to go home. Probably the wrong crowd to be telling this to, but you know, you can cut school and you can still learn stuff, and you're gonna be all right. You have to just slow down. Slow down. My point was avoiding conflict. It really happens. Like, they're coming, something's happening, here's the battle that's going on. Now, you want to make sure your men are covered, but the guys that want to go do that are going to want to go do it. So, your job, you have to sort of go strategic immediately, because it's an element of human nature. So I'm trying to coach you since you stayed late for school. A strategic thinker, by virtue of their entitlement, is the man that sits back and goes, oh, JFK, taking the yawn, sizing it up, avoiding the conflict, because there's Jackie and Marilyn, along with the other parts of real life that we're supposed to be enjoying. So avoiding conflict from the status of a strategic thinker is Kenneth Jaunais. Jaunais. One of the most underappreciated human beings walking on the planet, and he doesn't even know that I'm talking about him right now. He's that gifted. It's just him, and he knows what I'm talking about. You want to talk about instant change of status from a from an hours long trip to a point of trip's over. It's been 20 minutes. So now it's time to elongate this story and tell you about me coming home from Korea, meeting Kenyanais, who was the officer in charge of the skedoodle dance of Readiness Group Los Angeles. That probably was the stunt outfit that Trump used for 6th January. There's a Readiness Group Los Angeles, and Kenyanais, he was there, man. RGLA. Does not get, the dude was ready. I come back from Korea. We go to the track. I won $1,200 and some crazy stuff. Then I bet it all. I bet a bunch of the winnings on this next race, and it came in for everybody else, and it was wonderful. We went to a comedy club that night, amateur night. You know, they're all right. They got their stuff. They also had Long Island iced teas. Oh boy. And the plane left without me, but I caught up to it. I didn't get in trouble from my father for being late, and that's what happened. So I've covered a lot. I know it was after school. I told you some personal things that may get you to think you can just keep cutting class. But thank you for watching. Know that we're going to live forever if you want. I mean, we're going to live forever. You just have to figure out what vehicle you won't be driving. And if you like the one you're in, You need to keep it tuned up. And how do you do that? Well, oh my goodness, you have to go vegan. That word that means plants and flavors. You know, flavors are important. Goodness knows the word flavorful was very important in my family back in the day, and it wasn't necessarily meat we were looking at. It was other stuff. It came out good when you recipe it up. So it's not hard. And with that, I'll close. You all don't be safe. Just don't. Be reasonable and exercise concern for your fellow man and accept risk when it's appropriate to get the thrill for our creator, because your creator's in you. So everyone's thrilled together in unity. Peace.